98, 99 when it went from small side. This is how old it is.
Yep.
Small sideboard front wings to
Yep.
the sideboards you have on the front wing now.
Yep. Yep.
I remember that transition going, this is great.
Yep.
And, the cars are just, the whole car worked 100 times better.
Yep.
Anything come about lately that you feel?
No, probably not new, I would say, but it's probably been around for a while. It's probably more so, there's a lot of different shapes and wings, like you say. You got to know how to tune it, Bingo's good with that. When I come to the team, I said, "Oh, this is what wings I run. I've been through these. And we need to do that and this, and it worked out good because we already had them wings on the Titan car. So
right, well, can you say what they are?
the HRP shark wing,
right? Because I know you have flat wings now. We used to have deep dish.
Yeah, there's still dish.
Yeah,
dish. Yeah, the flat ones. Americans use the flat ones. They're
okay.
Limited to them overseas.
I see.
And then, even when some of the Americans come over, they prefer to run that out here because they know what they're running.
Right.
So they know how to set the car up to suit.
Okay.
You still got the dish on the top, and you can do diamond wings, which they offset one way or the other way, mainly to the right, to tighten the car up. Different leads, there's so many different options you can go with that. But then
different leads, what?
Like on the left-hand sideboard, it could come forward more or back more. Just depends how you want to turn the car. Like, you go forward, you want to turn it in better.
Wow.
The front wings, you can have positions of up and down and, laid back, more dish. You can get like 1.5 inch, 2 inch dish. There's quite a bit of variety. But then you've got to still be able to set it up with what you're running on the night, So there's quite a few variables. But we find, the best thing I find is just trying to stick with something, and then you set the car up around it. You sort of, you know what you got every week. It's a bit like when we go qualifying at Archfield. You got this, you got this. Once you got your base set up, even in your own head, this car's good. You go out there in the tracks. Oh yeah, that's about what it was the other week. Go out and you're quick,
Right, so you're not getting confused.
Yeah, you're not trying to do something weird or you're doing something different. That's good. That's it's all in line. You tick all the boxes and it's good. Probably the other thing is there's differences in the chassis, which I like a lot of that stuff because coming back from a background of building that stuff. I think there's a lot of differences in like your makes, like the Maxim and even the Cool from Australia.
And that's what you got now, right?
Yeah, we got a Cool. It's mainly a choice. We talked about a car down south and that come about, and probably the reason we got that was because the Maxim down there, they didn't have one with a seat back because I'm quite tall. I'm quite short, but I'm tall in the body, right. So the car's good. That's fit the seat. I've got to have the bars back, and you can only order certain cars to fit me. So which is a hard thing, Which the Cool was off the shelf and it was fitted, and everything was pretty much the same as what we're running, just a different make, and it was made different. It's just. And from the transition for that, it was a big difference in the car. Like the car was totally different, which surprised me a lot with what it was,
Like a positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Like it definitely made it easier to drive.
Was there anything you noticed though, like different suspension, like the actual symmetry of the important bits? Did you notice?
Well, it was all pretty similar to what we were running.
Right.
Probably just the way it's made with some of the positions of bars, and because there's a lot to do with the flex of the chassis.
Yep.
So, like I've been involved with guys doing twist tests with the chassis, with the sprint car frame, and watching, just even being there and watching that and seeing where they flex is unbelievable how much they flex. And just to know where to put bars and things like that. And that's where I look at different models and where they run their bars. A bit like the new Maxim. They call it I think it's a Big Max. And the rear cage goes a lot further back, like, say, a midget would, like the new style midgets. They'll go right back to the fuel tank, which makes a big difference in the back end where the flex is, which in my theory is, and they seem to work better. Right. A bit like the Cool. It's back further than the standard Maxim, so there's positions, but again, you still got guys that can set up, it's mainly looking for that window. You've got a bigger window to set up in. But when you've got, say, a different car, you may crack it on one night, but you might be really shocking the next night,
So what about motors? I remember the boys I didn't like it too much. Like, we're going to this track, we're going to put in this other motor, and I remember just going, yeah, I know what you're trying to say, but it would sort of upset, when you feel like a motor that revs up real quick, and next minute they're going to put in something for Kwinana, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I often I really like this,
Yep.
What about you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't mess with that stuff too much.
Yep.
You touch on the
Well, you
heart.
got, it's like I've always had good motors and good stuff, like even back in the modified days. I keep going back to that, but we did a lot of R&D with motor-wise. I went to America with my father and we talked to the head guy that used to be at Richard Childers Racing. He actually built our modified motor. So we learned a lot of technology, which still isn't in the sprint car stuff because of the amount of times you rebuild it in a year is because the cost outweighs the value of it. Just little things inside the motors that they did 15, 20 years ago was still just trickling through to the sprint car motors now, which is quite amazing, really. But that intrigues me, a lot of that stuff. So, like, even because I'm a machinist background, so I know how to make things and how things work and stuff like that. So I really get into that stuff and know what I like. And it's a bit like the combinations in the motors, like you got, say at Titan, we got 3 different motors. One's probably the small motor, which is one we used at the start of the year, which was always, you're wringing its neck to try and get a good time at the start of the night, which hurt us, And then we got we put the good rider in, which is a good motor, which was great, which is the motor that I like the most. It runs nice. It's nice to throttle, through the mid part. It's probably more like what I used to run, so what I'm used to, Then there was the bigger motor, which, it was good, but just couldn't get balked or anything like that because it had more top end. Right. So it was one of those things that's, we got this motor in there now. I'm like, don't take that out.
Yeah.
That's staying in there.
Yeah.
Exactly what you were saying,
Yeah.
So
this, I think about it often again, the secrets that only you drivers know. Like, there was a time in particularly racing at Archerfield, I'd spin out in the last lap a lot. There was a lot of times I'd be winning a heat, spin out in the last lap, and it wasn't. I used to go, I just can't understand it. Like, I can't understand it. Like, the car would like just slide out. But the reason was, a little later, Terry Bracken bought the same motor, and he goes, "Man, I kept spinning out. I hate that motor. The compression is too high." Whenever he'd get off the gas, particularly in the end of the race, like the car would just lock up. Like,
yep.
And I'm like, that's what, you know what I mean? I'm talking about 3 or 4 different nights on heats where it's just going great, cruising into the last corner.
Yeah, you thought, just easel it in.
Just don't, because I spun out last heat, and bang, round it goes again. I'm just going in front of it,
Yeah.
What the hell? And then sure enough, Bracco did it, and he just claimed that motor was too wild. And again, I'm not a motor dude, but he had the same experience that this thing was just is that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Some motors just like, no, I know this thing back to front. Love that.
Yeah.
And
because the thing they do with that is, like, say you've had a really lightweight crank, so it revs up easy, but also shuts off quick. So that can do it as well. You might have less rotating ways.
Right. And after 30, whatever laps, it's really slick.
Yeah.
You come in, and for the first time, you wouldn't even do it ever. Just come in, get off the throttle, this is done. Looking at the checker. Just spins around.
I've learnt never look at the prize until you got it.
Yeah. Oh, mate, if I could turn back time.
Yes.
What about the States then?
Yep.
Jamie Veal. I remember Jamie Veal, and he's a classic example of a dude who was good.
Yep.
Went to America, came back, and he's Jamie Veal. And there's another one I keep thinking of. What's his name? Stephen. They're the same Warrnambool sort of dudes.
Oh, Bill.
No, young as Jamie Veal. What's his name?
Oh, Lyons.
Stephen Lyons, yeah. Same. I think they went to the States at the same time. They came back with bang.
Yeah.
And not only that, it sort of upset everyone in Australia. These guys have come from America. They know more than me somehow,
Yep.
How can you do that?
How can I do that? Don't know. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yep. Probably a bit out of options there with kids, though. Probably a bit past that. But
bloody kids.
I know.
How old are yours? Mine's 5 and 2 and 23-year-old.
4 and 19 months now. Yeah.
Okay, so you're stuffed.
Yeah. No, they're real good, actually.
Yeah.
Two girls.
Well, mate, it would only take a 3-month, extended, which goes like that.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not even 3 months.
Yeah.
Line something up and
Yeah.
it would just be like it's probably natural for you. You sort of have to, hey, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard deal, it's with work and all other things, you have to have a good deal to make it work, especially being off work for 3 months,
And what is your work again?
I do work in the family business with power wheelchairs and mobility aids and stuff like that, and we more do specialised chairs for really disabled kids and adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who in the family started that? Was it your dad sort of?
Yeah, Dad's been doing it for 35 years or something.
Right.
So.
What got him into that?
Probably his father was in a wheelchair, so then he'd been doing it ever since, So that's probably the start of it.
Right.
So then they've been in their own business for probably 17, 18 years now.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been there probably 6 years now.
Can you make me an electric go-kart? Can you can you make one of those skateboards? Actually, the last podcast I had here was these two downhill longboard skateboarders.
Yep.
Those mad guys, 70 k's on a skateboard, no brakes, just bang, straight down.
I'd rather be in a sprint car.
Yeah, me too. Me too, mate.
Fuck at that.
Just they go down in motorbike leathers.
Yep.
They've done, they go race down Bathurst,
Yep.
and so I was just like, wow, and that's what they do in competition. But meanwhile, they're practicing in streets around the corner from your house, and that's how they got there.
Yeah.
But I said to them, what you need to do is get some of these electric skateboards and have a go-kart track race. Dash for cash, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Can you make that stuff?
Yeah, we can. But probably not fast enough for what you want, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They'll do about 45 k's or something.
Nah.
No?
Nah, I couldn't do it that fast.
You can't get the tools out and
I probably
whip
could.
up some gears or something?
Probably could. If I had the time, I probably would.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, what's the best track in Australia?
Best track? Oh, that's a hard one. I'd say it's a toss-up between Warrnambool. Well, I've probably got a few favourites, It's hard to pick one. From racing Archfield every week, that I like Archfield on certain nights. When you've got a cush to run on and it's got a biome and you're running too wide, that's awesome. When you're running side by side, when it goes slick, gut slick. When it's no lines and you nose to tail, boring, Yeah, get me away from here,
Then they water it for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I'm not dumping on anyone, but...
I had a good time. We went to, Mount Gambier. It was a smaller track and, me and Shirley put on a good heat race and until I had a moment, you might say, a bit like you said, with you backing off in the corner and spinning out. That's sort of what happened and, it got cleaned up, so that was the end of that night. But, it's Warrnambool. It's a different kettle of fish because you've really got to drive it a bit like a go-kart. Not that I've ever raced them.
Yep.
Only the high karts, that's about all I've done with them. But because you really got to be smooth down there and not twitch the car and break the tyres from being gripped to the track,
Yeah.
I haven't really got a favourite.
Okay.
They're all good. I don't mind Toowoomba. It's good now. It's got the bank. The banking's definitely made it 100 times better than it ever was.
I haven't even seen it.
It's probably worth a look.
Everyone says the same thing, eh?
Yeah.
Warrnambool, mate. It's got an atmosphere.
Yeah,
that's the thing about Warrnambool.
I love
when you're
going
getting
there.
out there on a big night, you're like, oh, everyone's watching. You can
Yeah.
feel this.
Yeah.
Lights are good.
Yeah.
Just everything about it. Just when there's a lot of speed. It feels like you're going quick and things are working nice.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's actually hard to pass people because everyone's in quite a big of a train when it's good. You know.
No doubt about that. It's like we've had some good races down there. Like even when we went down in our car the year before, it was great down there. It had one night. I just remember one night there. Slick on the bottom, a bit rough through the middle, and it was juiced up on the top. You really had to get up on the wheel. I think we were in like a B or a C main for the classic. And we got through the C from down the back. We were passing cars, and then got to the B, and then I had a moment and broke the car. So it was sort of disappointing in that sense, but. It was fast and running through the holes and up high on the cush, it was, and normally it's slick, or it's smooth, but this night it was, you really had to get up on the wheel, and the speed you're traveling there is just.
Yeah. Well, okay, I don't even want to ask you because I hate that stuff, but obviously when you're dumping a sprint car, it'd be a little different to, the speed's a lot higher.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some modified crashes, but
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
knows a sprint car. You can ride a wheel and boom. You know, you had any big ones that went okay. You know,
Well,
like
actually, this year,
chassis bangers and
this
go
year,
yeah.
this year at